Welcome back to the Better Project podcast, and we are back for round two with Mr. Clayton Harrop. Welcome back, bro. We've done a bit of a process this morning around some healing, and I feel different, bro. I feel like there's a weight lifted off my shoulder. My heart feels a lot more light, and my core saying now is I'm a fucking weapon, bro.
Yeah.
I am a fucking weapon, and I'm super grateful for you coming out and running me through this process, which we will talk about as well. For people that don't know, I recently went through a breakup, 9-year relationship, and that's brought up a lot of things for me, a lot of emotions, the main one being anger. And through this process, which Clayton will run through as well, it brought up for me like where that kind of stemmed from. And a lot of the times it does come from our childhood, and we take that into our adult life and it pulls strings on us and it affects our business, our relationships, and everything else within our life. So healing is an interesting topic. There's various different ways in which people go through this process. But for you, Clay, how do you see the process of healing, and can you kind of explain what we just went through before?
Healing could be explained in many ways, but if you look at it in the form of like a trauma or a wound, there is something within us that is no longer congruent with who we believe we are or who we want to be. It is something that either happened out of our control and was just a straight up significant emotional event, a wound that was trapped within us at the time and needs to be let go of. Or it's an old belief, decision, something that once served us and got us through something that we needed to at the time in order to survive or be loved or be accepted by someone like a parent. That worked then, but no longer works now. So it's not about like adding or doing things so much as it is about taking things away or like peeling off layers that no longer serve us or should be there. So that's in a very roundabout way how I see healing. It's getting rid of what no longer serves us, or healing, removing, resolving what was significant for us at one point in time and never quite got resolved or addressed from or moved on with. Instead, it got dragged along with us. And so long as we drag that along with us into the present or into the future, it inhibits or affects how we show up or how we respond, or not even respond, how we react. That's essentially how I see healing.
Yeah, and the reason why I wanted to have this conversation is we're both fathers. We've both gone through our fair share of shit in life, and
very much so.
The basis of this podcast is around fatherhood and showing up as our best selves, and that intersection between business, life, fatherhood, all that stuff. And as adults, as fathers, healing is a big part of that, because then that allows us to show up as a better version of ourselves for our kids and not pass down generational trauma or other things that could have a negative impact on our children's life. So this is why it's important for us to do the work and speak about what we're going to be speaking about today, because it's going to have a profound positive impact on not only, you've already had it on me today, but the people that are listening, and they go, wow, I have some things bottled up inside of me that I want to, unlock and explore and work through. They can come to you because it's not this woo-woo bullshit. And you're actually getting down to the root of it. And yes, it's uncomfortable, but it's not super uncomfortable where you feel like you're just going to break down in tears. And
like the healing work that we just done, you alluded that, like, can I explain that? We'll touch on it. But yeah, you got uncomfortable, quite uncomfortable, but it was probably very different, I would say, or imagine, to what you thought it was going to be like, right?
You see things on social media as we alluded to before we started, it's like men crying and doing all this like real deep work, which I think, would you say there's a time and place for that?
It has its place. Some men need, absolutely, and it's not to shame it, that like some men need to go let things out in a very unique and expressive way. And it's not so much the men, like, that I'm okay with, it has its place, but it's like, it's the women, where there's creepy fucking quote-unquote spiritual healing men that are reenacting scenes that happened to them early in life that are very traumatic, and they say you need to relive it and abreact to move on from it, which is bullshit.
tell you what I've seen. You would have seen the videos when they're pulling the energy out of the fucking
Yeah.
vaginal area.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
like, bro,
yeah.
you're just a creep.
It's 100%. It's creepy. It's wrong. It's not right. Can it work? It can. But my argument would be 9 times out of 10 it works because of the participants' belief in it working, because they hold the coach or the mentor or the spiritual guru in very high regard, and whatever we respect or revere and then believe in tends to happen. So there's very much the power of suggestion, and like so I'm a coach. I've explored not every modality, but so many of them under the sun, and gone deep with them to see what principles underlie this at work. And the principles are all the same. There's a very few principles in healing. There's a million methods. There's a million techniques, but principles are few. There's less than 10, probably less than 5. One of them is get to the root cause. When you get to the root cause, you've just got to remap it, reinterpret it, and reliving it like we see some of these women doing from men holding them down and then doing all this shit doesn't remove it. It de-energizes it in a way, or like reinterprets the way we energize it, because they believe they're safer in that moment and they can act it out. How's that really serving you though? Like the root cause of the event, the trauma, the wound is still there. And that's what we did with you today was very different to something like that. You didn't have to go relive some wound and energetically act it out again. In fact, what we did is we found the wound and said, okay, this is the problem we've got right now. What precedes that? Like, where did it come from? Because it originated at one point in time. There was a second in time. There was a lot of time exactly actually beforehand that belief didn't exist. And 1 second it didn't, and then a second later it did. So it's not about, like, healing isn't crying, bashing, being trapped and trying to escape. That's therapeutic to some degree, but it's not healing. It's cathartic. Healing is going back to the root cause of an event and reinterpreting how your unconscious mind holds it and what it believes it needs from that moment in time to surviving. And when we learn things instead and replace that event with, from the trauma in it, we take that out and instead put lessons and principles and values in there, the subconscious mind, which is the storehouse of your trauma, feels safe to let the shit go and move forward peacefully without feeling trapped or stuck. Yeah. Which is what we did with you. We seen what preceded this wound of yours, and we went back to the root cause of it, and we did what we did. We healed it. A lot of it was internal for you, right? Like, I hardly even knew what was going on. You shed a little bit, but that was by choice.
Yeah.
And then we went as far as testing it too. A lot of people don't test it, they're actually healed. They just say, I feel better. And after screaming and kicking and yelling, of course you're going to fucking feel better. But we go back and we say, how is this different now? Let's future pace it. How do you react now? And you laughed, right? Yeah. I think, am I right in saying you were surprised by how you felt you would act in a situation?
Yeah.
Different to how you would have, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So, yeah, and then it's just a matter of, once you clear the root cause of an event, you can double down and install beliefs. Like, beliefs are so powerful. People aren't aware of how powerful belief is. And we went as far as removing the root cause, healing it, and then going, what else would support that? And we bypassed what's known as the critical faculty and went into a light trance and installed a belief, which afterwards, I know you told me, like, how different did you feel after it?
As I said, my heart was like a lot more lighter. I felt a lot more confident within myself, because what I love about the healing process is what it does is it brings awareness and understanding to why you acted certain ways. And because a lot of the times these traumas happen from, early childhood, we then have this belief system, which is of a child's belief system, which is then
100%.
Majority of the time is just a coping mechanism. And because you've created that from such a young age, it gets embedded into your subconscious and you take it on into your adult life. But when you go back and you look at it from an adult point of view, a lot of the things that were coming up for me is like, okay, cool. I was a kid at that time. What else could I have done in certain situations? And then you start to have empathy for that little version of yourself, which then helps in removing those belief systems that you've created and taken on into your adult life.
And then the emotions that come with it too, right?
Yeah.
Because for you, anger came up.
Anger was a big thing, and I had a lot of negative emotion towards anger. I thought it was such a bad thing, and I couldn't be angry, and I had to bottle it all up, and I had to avoid all conflict because if there was conflict, I would go on my show. I wouldn't feel good enough. It would kill my confidence. So I just bottled it all up.
Yeah, and that was, it's beautiful in doing healing work like this, where you go in and you're I just facilitated it for you, right? I guided you through the process, and it's very much a conscious, unconscious integration. You got to go back and, am I right in saying it made sense why you acted and felt and thought the way that you did based on the lessons and discovery you made where the trauma happened. And you didn't even know that trauma was necessarily it. You had an idea, but where your unconscious encoded it and took us back to, you went, oh, and the lessons and learnings that were coming up from it, you were like, oh, this is why I've had an unhealthy relationship with this. And this, you're able to make sense of it when you go back. It doesn't always make sense why it happened, but the way you acted typically reveals itself, and there's a lot of empathy that comes up.
Yeah. And then once you actually see how that transferred into your adult life and the relationships, and me reflecting on my previous relationship, and then when I laughed at the end of it, I was like, if I'm having an interaction like I did in the past, in the future, I would not stand up for that.
Yeah. Once you do this work, you can't go back to the way you were. You stretch the bounds of what was you, and it's so much bigger and greater. And the beauty of it is, a lot of healing work is what creates a void. Like, you remove something that did serve you. That's what a lot of people don't know. True healing, it could be called healing and should in certain circumstances, but it's more reinterpreting or changing. You're changing what doesn't work or serve you to what does. And that's what we did with you. We had these things that were getting in the way of who you wanted to be, but they worked for back then. They served you and they protected you. And it's just that what worked and was necessary back then as a vulnerable child who had no choice but to do what you needed to in the environment that you were in, that's very different to you now, who has choice and who has control over your environment to whatever degree that is. It's different for everyone. That old behavior doesn't suit this environment. So it's just changing the conditions or the internal world and belief structure to be in alignment with what we do want and what supports it. And when you create that alignment, that like congruency instead of incongruency, completely different world.
Yeah.
Completely different internal state.
And this is why, as men, we need to do the work. Whether you're going through a breakup like me, or you're in a happy relationship, like, there's always something that's pulling strings on you.
Yeah.
And honestly, it could have been easy for me, and then there was the temptation there to go down the road. Okay, I'm a single man now. Let's go explore all my avenues and see where that takes me. But yes, there would be lessons and maybe an element of healing through doing that. But the biggest healing process is to go through things and actually feel their emotions and work through it, instead of trying to fill a void with something else and settling for mediocre relationships. And instead of you knowing your higher purpose, your higher self, but you're settling for something below that.
Yeah, and recreating more of the same.
Yeah.
Because again, Tony Robbins, we've talked about this. I think word for word, we absolutely act in accordance with who we believe we are. And we aren't our beliefs and our behaviors and our values, but they make up who we are. And if you've got beliefs that are very unhealthy or limiting to you, you will act in accordance with that. And if you go through a breakup, it's traumatic, there's change, we become different and we learn. But it's not about what we consciously learn or consciously want to believe. It's about what we subconsciously believe to be true, or what we're familiar with. And if we didn't change that old belief of yours, in time, we would have selected a partner very differently, because you would have been willing to tolerate very different things, right?
Yeah.
You would have filtered the outside world inward very, very differently. And, different thoughts and feelings and filters on the world, different outcomes, different beliefs. And then we create this belief cycle that works against us instead of for us. So, and it's how, as men, to link it back to fatherhood, we act in accordance with who we believe we are. Therefore, we have some behaviors that support our belief about the world. if you believe X, you act in accordance with X, and your kids don't listen to what you say, they look at what you do, and that's how they learn. So as a father now, by healing yourself and getting rid of this, what was known as like a prime concern or a core wound, you may not see it at first. I don't know. You'll be the verdict of that, but you'll act very different, and you'll make very different decisions based on what you're worth. And now your daughter will model her self-worth after you.
Yeah.
And what a lot of men don't realize is their self-worth or lack thereof, self-confidence, conviction, follow-through. Like we talk about the 4 lives in the drafted version of my book that we've read. We have 4 lives, and if they are out of alignment, instead of the 4 being one essentially and in alignment with one another, we create all sorts of incongruencies and mixed messages. What do you think that's doing to a kid? Like so many fathers think they're shooting their kids from shit by staying with a woman that they shouldn't be with, and they model their kid on an unhealthy relationship, and then they go ahead and recreate that because that's what's familiar with them or to them as they get older. That's what you and I have both done. Like we've got a very similar story.
Yeah.
Even this childhood, we had a long-term relationship. Yours was 9 years, mine was just under. We both had kids, both separated at 28. It was oddly familiar and similar.
It's funny, the more we speak, the more similarities there are.
It's wild. Yeah. The universe is fucking hilarious. It's got a sense of humor, I know that much. But in our childhood, rough. Like your family stayed together, mine didn't, but the beliefs we adopted in a way were oddly and eerily similar and familiar. And to the extent that they remain there dormant, not dormant, active within us. We think they're dormant because we're not, showing it. But our actions, even our posture, the way we speak, the way we don't say things, like what we do and don't say is all a behavior. All gets adopted or absorbed by our children. And if we have shit there, they will take it on to some degree. So the more we heal ourselves, the better we show up as fathers and the better our kids will be as a result.
100% agree. 100% agree. What I want to, because we've got a bunch of, excuse me, we've got a bunch of topics that we want to dive into for today's episode. And I think,
juicy stuff.
Yeah, there actually is some juicy, a bit of controversial, which will be interesting as well. But a big thing that came up for me personally was a couple of things. The feeling of not being good enough when your ex leaves you. And then to jump off the back of that would be, I'm a single dad, I'm 28. What woman is going to want a man with a child?
Before we dive down on that, quick revert back with the healing you did. Because this, you're happy saying that was obviously a bit tied to what the healing work we done.
Yes.
So there was a lot of, and I told you to remember this, remember how this feels before it, because it's very different after we do the work.
Yeah.
It's almost hard to get in touch with, but that was big for you, the worthiness and all that, right?
Yeah.
How do you feel now after healing it and going back to the root cause of that? Like, do you still have this concern of worthiness?
No, I know if I continue down this path of working on myself and building myself up, I will attract the right woman into my life. Now it's being patient and doing the work.
Yeah. And is there any question around worthiness for you? Like,
no, because I know my worth within myself, so I know I'll be able to attract the right woman into my life. I'm not settling for anything else.
Awesome. Yeah.
And
I'm glad.
Yeah, I know where I stand.
Yeah, good. And it was very different before. We might be putting a video out about that as well, separate, so you can see the energy, the difference of before versus afterwards.
Yeah, but the reason I bring up these questions is because obviously that was a real feeling for me prior to this, and I know a lot of men would be going through similar 100%. Situations. And like for you, what would be, your advice around that?
It's a very real and valid concern. Definitely. I had it too. So
yes.
Funny enough, I separated from my partner of 8 years, 28, and that wasn't a concern. My concern was what's right for me and the kids. And, I knew that the relationship wasn't right a while ago, but I'd done everything in my power, the way I knew how to back then, to make it work. So after reality adjusts and things settle down, you're left there as a man going, hold on, I'm 28 and a child. Like, I haven't been single for 8-9 years. This was before all the dating apps too. Like,
Bro, I'm like, how do I speak to women?
yeah, very genuine, real concern for me too. Before my partner of 8 years, not a problem. Like I was very confident with women, had options and choice and confidence to walk up to anyone. It wasn't an issue for me. I forced myself to get to that place, but I certainly wasn't born like that or raised like that. It was a doing of my own actions. But after 8 years, I genuinely could not speak. It was like if I just was talking to you as a friend, it wasn't a thing. But the moment I had intention or attraction to a woman, it's like I fucking froze. And it's a real thing. It's a genuine, valid feeling and thought to have. But it's also one that doesn't serve you, because there is absolutely many women out there that preferably would go, if I have a man or meet a guy, I'd rather not have a kid. But the reality is when they do meet you and they connect with you and they know that that's the way things are, they love you and the situation and circumstances that come with you as well. And women, something to remember, I guess this is like a universal rule, is that women are universally maternal. They're wired to be maternal. Men are wired to devote and defend and protect. Like we will see someone on the street, a complete stranger, let's say a lady, who all of a sudden comes under threat of another man. We have no obligation to her, no nothing, yet something innate in us comes over us to go protect that woman. We don't know her. We could die in the process. God knows what could happen, but something typically inspires us to want to go protect her, right?
Yep.
Women have the same thing to become maternal when the right environment and conditions are present. So if there's love, safety, significance, connection, reverence there for her, healthy communication, the need to feel heard and seen by you, her biology will interconnect with yours. We biologically become interdependent on each other, and she will be okay with it. It'll feel right for her. And I think it's just reassuring to know that, it is scary, but it does pass. And it's just a matter of getting out there, being forthcoming, being who you are. Don't live in the belief, because, again, if we believe something truly, we will act in accordance with it. So to the best of your ability, get out there, get experience, one step at a time if need be. The ultimate thing is go heal the wound.
Yes.
But not everyone has that luxury. So in lieu of that, it's just micro exposure, and also get around an environment that contradicts that, I guess. Like, look online how many stepfathers find beautiful, gorgeous, amazing women who then also choose to want to go on and become a mother figure to that child. And then they do have kids together, and then the mother loves that she's got an older brother or an older daughter that is a sibling and an older brother or daughter to other biological kids that are hers too.
Yeah.
Like, if you reframe it and look at it differently, it's actually a benefit to them in a way. They get a beautiful daughter, in your case, that comes with you, who will very quickly adapt and love them as a woman, because she's going to see your relationship with her. There might be a period of roughness, there might not be, but what will happen is she will love the mother. She will become, like it or not, it's her biology, somewhat maternal. There might be fears, there'll be a lot of things, but ultimately, with a healthy relationship and strong masculine man that you are, she will feel into it, and it will just feel right. And all three of you will become biologically interdependent on one another and wired with one another. Create your own family unit, and it'll just feel natural. And before you know it, because of, the human phenomena of conditioning, like a conditioned response, 3, 6, 9 months down the line, that's normal for her.
Yeah.
So just know that there's a reality where it's true and it's normal. I've had it. So many other men that I've seen that are less qualified than you, for example, and men listening to this, have found beautiful women, like inside and out, that still want to be with them regardless of 1 kid or 3 kids. I know a gentleman back from home, actually, that has 3 kids who are kind of rat bags, who met a gorgeous woman, and then she's beautiful inside and out, and she wants to be with him, and she wants to be the stepmother. If he can do it, and I can do it, so can you. Just understand that it will suck in the beginning and it'll be tough, and it eventually passes, and it happens.
A part of me that had that thought process as well was because within myself, when I was thinking of like a woman that I would love to attract into my life, is I don't want a woman who already has kids.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to deal... One, I don't want to raise someone else's kids, and I don't want like another man involved.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's always going to be that involvement.
Fair enough.
unless unfortunately he passed away. But yeah, for me, it's like I want to. I want a pure, I want a fresh, woman to then continue creating my family with.
Yeah, and look, that's not right, wrong, good or bad. I'm the same.
Yeah.
I can know. And look, people will hear that and go, "That's double standard. That's wrong for you wanting that." But also, fuck them because they've got standards which they're allowed to have as well. And it's innate in men, like it is to protect women, regardless of who or when the situation is happening with and where. We do want and value purity and feminine elegance and ladylike qualities, and it's only natural. We're prideful creatures as men, and there's many different forms of pride. There's a loving, nurturing form of pride of knowing something is ours. So having a woman that's mostly been ours or has only been ours, it's not to say that she can't have had previous partners. It's not it. It's just that she's devoted to us, is as loyal to herself as she is us, and has protected herself in a purity and a emotional and mental well-being. And when we get that, we feel that we can devote to that. It's very, like, you look at men with their cars, their toys, their tools, anything that is theirs, they become very prideful of and they look after it.
Yes.
Better than anything else. And it's no different with women. We want them to be ours. And when they are ours, they unlock a level of devotion in us that all women want. And they have it wrong. They don't see how if they devote to us, they unlock an incredible level of devotion out of the man that they're with.
Oh, I would give my woman the world if she devoted to me and supported and loved and brought peace.
Yeah.
Like, a man will do anything for that.
Anything. And women don't know that.
But that's chauvinistic these days.
Yeah, how dare you want that purity and stuff in a woman? That's chauvinistic. It's not at all. It's standards that all men want, like it or not, which we've been made wrong and ashamed to even talk about, let alone proudly say, no, I would prefer that. I would absolutely prefer that. Put this hat on for a second. Like, for the people listening to this who are going like, I don't know how this sits with me. If you were God for a second, or got to play God for a second and design your ideal partner from scratch, are you putting a body count of 0 or 100 on her? No man is going to say, yeah, I want a girl that's slept with 10, 20, 50, 100, even 1. Like, it's not bad. The reality is that it's probably going to be the likely case, and that is okay. Our love for a woman isn't dependent on her body count. However, if it's 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 and she's 25, 26, 28, whatever, that says a lot more about her character and ability to devote to you and in alignment with your more primal needs and wants than it would if the woman had slept with 100 men. It's just different, like it or not. It's not comfortable to say, but it's the reality of it. And if women could understand their value and their purity and the true thing that men really want in them, which is for them to be theirs, then they would get everything that they claim they want in men. But to get what they want out of a man, for women to get what they want out of a man, they need to be able to and be willing to give him what he wants. And that's a devoted, loyal, unquestionably loyal woman. And that's right there a massive, massive problem in today's society and all relationships, is how many men would genuinely, wholeheartedly, 100%...
Good, I needed to cough anyway.
That was fucking timed horribly.
What was that?
That was an alarm for some reason. I don't know. How many men would unquestionably be able to tell you that they trust their partner no matter what, that they wouldn't cheat on them, and that they'd be loyal to them and speak positively behind their back about them, no matter what? There's very few men that I think would genuinely say my partner has my back no matter what. She wouldn't cheat me on me with no matter who it is. Like, I'm talking the wealthiest, most famous, powerful people in the world, where everyone says, they're my whole pass. No, fuck off with your whole pass. No one wants to admittedly and knowingly know their partner would cheat on you.
You posted reshared a video on that the other day.
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck? This is...
Yeah, that girl and the guy, where he said he wouldn't use a whole pass, but she said she would.
Yeah.
And then proceeded to air that out to the whole world for the first time ever. And this is the first time he was hearing it too.
I said, see you later.
It's as disrespectful as you can get. The only more disrespectful is probably actually going and cheating.
Yeah.
Yeah. Men want loyalty. That's love. Loyalty and respect. Obviously women want loyalty too, but it is held at a different section of the hierarchy for men to what it is women. Women typically want safety, significance, and variety first. They want fun. That's what they think. I want to feel safe with him. I want to be heard. I want to go have fun. I want to feel special and loved. Men aren't thinking that. We're thinking, I want devotion. She needs to be loyal to me. I don't want to have to question whether she's going to love me and follow my lead. Very different priorities. But we've been blindsided and blindfolded to think that we all want the same thing. And we don't.
Yeah. See, I got caught up thinking I had that. And then with this whole process, I've honestly, this process has made me in a way lose trust in women. And I think I wouldn't be the only one to go through that. And you probably went through a similar situation maybe.
Absolutely.
How do we deal with that? Because you don't want to punish the next woman for what your ex did.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, you don't want to bring your baggage and wounds from the past into this one. There's a saying, if you don't heal your wounds, you'll bleed on people that never cut you. Rings very true in this scenario. Let me ask you, I'm curious. At the moment, there's understandably a bit of a distrust towards the generalization of women as a whole. Fair enough.
Yep.
It's not right, wrong, good or bad. It's just, does it work? No. So let's unpack it. And I absolutely had it, so I'll share that. But what do you feel you were struggling with regards to women at the moment, trust-wise? Like what don't you trust them with?
Well, they say that they love you and they want to be with you, and then next minute they can switch and walk out the door.
Yeah. Okay. So
after you give them everything.
Yeah. There's a million reasons. There's not a million reasons, but there's a few different reasons why it's the case. One is the phenomenon of a conditioned response. If, for example, as a man, we've not given certain core feminine needs for long enough, let's say variety. We gave the safety and the significance. They feel safe, they know us, they feel special and loved, but we bore them to death without any variety or spontaneity or anything taboo to liven up their life. And let's say that's the reason she leaves. We might then change. Typically men, we change after we realize it. It's very easy to be blind. This is men and women. But if we are blind to something and then at the end say, okay, I'm going to change and start it, most women do this. They will not say stuff significantly enough and importantly enough and directly enough until it's a problem, a big problem. And by that point, their nervous system has grown familiar with that state, that condition, that experience. And now they genuinely think and feel different because it's got a new belief. They've got a new environment they feel familiar in. So therefore there is a belief somewhere. Because they have that belief, that's what they come to expect. So typically, and what we expect is what we filter the world through. We don't see anything outside of what contradicts our belief. We can, but typically not. So you might do something and change. Immediately her brain doesn't believe this is true for you because it's not what's familiar. So she will then go one off. Let's see if he sticks to it and if it's consistent. Because remember, core feminine need is safety for women, and safety is built up or made up of consistency. So 1, 2, 3, maybe even 4 or 5 times won't be enough of change. But as men, if we make a change, we want feedback and we want recognition because that's a core need of ours. So we might change and do something different for 3 weeks, but she's still not feeding us back the additional love we should now be getting for our efforts.
It was like when you came last time and I took her out to dinner once, but I didn't continue it.
Yeah, and that's, you weren't to know, right? Like, obviously on a logical level, common sense, you should have.
Yeah.
But when you're building a business, working 12 hours a day, there's a kid in the picture and she's not giving you anything back after it. Granted, you didn't her in the beginning either as well. There was like both in the wrong, but you did make an effort. It wouldn't have taken much for her to say, hey, I really enjoyed that. Please keep doing it. That's where most women don't communicate that well. I didn't get that. Yeah, they probably didn't even get a big thank you. I really enjoyed it. You didn't get the nourishing energy of your efforts. Like any other area, like in business, this is why men revert to business.
Yeah.
You go put a certain output out in the world, you get income back. You get immediate or very, soon after given feedback of your efforts. It's a reward, stimulus response. You do this, I get this back, do more of it. With a woman, after we've fucked up for long enough, or if we've made a mistake, or she's not spoken up and she's made the mistake, whatever, we don't typically get feedback soon enough. So we get frustrated for our efforts that don't then get rewarded or given back to us.
I was the one that said, thank you for coming out with me.
Yeah. See, and that, what does that do to your self-worth and self-esteem, and then your desire to want to do more of it?
Yeah, now that just came up for me. I was like reflecting on it. I'm like, okay, that's probably why I didn't continue.
Yeah. And look, there will be women that say, you should have done it longer and you would have got it. And as true as that is, it's also true that she should have said it and rewarded you for it, because you would have done more of it. Men go where they're loved. I think you actually said that last podcast. Men go where they're appreciated. And we're human. We all make mistakes. Every relationship is a two-way street.
Oh, I know where I fucked up for sure. And we've spoken about this a lot, and I take huge accountability, and I'm doing the work like we're here today, right?
Yeah, and you owned it, right? You went in and made some effort, because that dinner wasn't, you should have taken out for dinner more, yes, but you did other things as well, which we spoke a lot throughout this. You weren't getting the feedback. You weren't getting the reward back. And that's typically because the women will build up one of John Gottman's 4 horsemen. It's like contempt, criticism, defensiveness, stonewalling. And she was probably giving you one of them. She might have been stonewalling, holding back. I'm not giving you love because you have to prove it to me through enough consistency to make me feel safe to love you again, because you haven't for this long. So had you have done it for like 6 to 8 weeks straight and essentially said, I'm going to suck shit, don't worry about feedback, and do it, it would have tipped the scale. But again, it's not that simple. It can be, but typically you need a lot of support in your corner. You need every other area of life going well.
Yeah, it's not really realistic.
No, so as a team, you were a team. She needed to play her role. It's a 2-man team. It's not a 1-man team. It can be a 1-man team, but would things be different now? She said, thank you, I really appreciated that dinner, which she did, and had have, rewarded you for your efforts, probably would have worked out and been very different. But that's one simple aspect of it too.
Yeah.
There was that aspect. There's other aspects where she could have had wounds that prevented her from being able to give you that love in the first place, which, based on what I know, was an issue because she struggled with giving over a form of control or leadership to men based on the past of hers that I don't know about. So you already were naturally not showing up the best that you could for her because she wasn't giving you the reins to do it. There wasn't room to lead, essentially.
Yeah.
Which, you cripple a man like that and very quickly he will show up crippled. You'll get less of him. You get less of him, the woman withdraws and says, I don't feel safe and loved. So she gives you less. You then can't show up as much because you're getting less from her. So it's this downward vicious spiral that slowly destroys the relationship by death by 1,000 cuts.
Yes, and for me personally, I fell into the nice guy syndrome, trying to
self-sacrificing.
Yeah, trying to please her, trying to make everything right, trying to avoid conflict, which, when I look at it now, I was also in the nice guy part of me because I wasn't confident within myself, which is all the healing stuff we did earlier. And through reading the book No More Mr. Nice Guy, what thing stood out for me was we speak about open and honest communication with relationships and expectations and barriers and all those things. Yet, for me, what came up was I was setting all these covert contracts within our relationship, saying, never discussed it with her, but I was like, hey, you don't have to work. I'm providing. I'm paying all the bills.
Yeah.
You should clean the house, cook food, have sex with me.
Yeah.
And then when it wasn't happening, I was losing my shit and not feeling loved, connected, supported.
Yeah.
And it was just like, yeah, exactly. And it was just like a never-ending cycle, which played a huge part in the breakdown of our relationship.
Yeah.
Because I had these contracts in my head without actually discussing them. And a big part of it was over the last 1 to 2 years, me really dialing in and doing this work. I guess my perspective and my outlook on how a family dynamic should be, and being wanting more of a traditional family, and her not really being on board with that.
Yeah, yeah.
Which then put another divide in how we connected and how our family was So there's multiple aspects to it.
Yeah. That's a big one.
Yeah, and looking back at it now, I believe everything happens for a reason. And I think this is going to be the best outcome,
100%.
especially for myself. Though it's still painful, and it's still, you don't want to go through that.
Yeah.
But now I can take all the lessons and into the next one.
Yeah, and you can enter that in a way where the right frame is on it, and she will appreciate the type of relationship you want because you will communicate that early on. And that's, look, that's a flaw that you had back then, but it's also a thing that you were never taught growing up. A lot of men, women too, it's just everyone in general, don't know how to communicate their needs, because covert contracts are a byproduct of the nice guy syndrome. What is nice guy syndrome? It's a trauma response. As a kid, you typically had love withheld from you, and to get it, you had to be a certain way in order to get the love, or you had to not be a certain way. Like, you couldn't be the noisy, loud kid. You had to be quiet, well-behaved, seen and not heard in order to get love from mum and dad or approval. So it's a coping mechanism and attachment style in which we needed to be, do, or have to get loved and survive. And what happens as adults, we think it's a communication flaw at the end of the day. Covert contracts are just unspoken expectations. So if we don't communicate our needs and expectations of our partner, how can we ever expect them to get met? We kind of just assume, we're attracted to each other, there's polarity, there's connection. Naturally, we want the same thing. But unless we sit down and have the tough, uncomfortable conversation, which nice guys want to avoid because we don't want to make anyone uncomfortable, we want to make them happy and loved and feel cared for, we avoid conflict. And I say we because I used to do this. Like, I'm Mr. Conflict now. If there's an issue, I'm like, let's fucking talk about it. I don't know, let's avoid it. Never. It's either now or later when you're ready. When? Like, which option?
Or you would pussyfoot around it. Like, you try and have a serious conversation, but then you'd still try and be the nice guy.
You fold.
Yeah.
One of the 4 survival responses, so there's fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. We would, typical nice guy will fawn. Okay, whatever you need. Okay. I kind of like this. No, not going to do it. Okay.
Yeah.
And then that's the worst thing you can do, because that's a covert contract / unspoken expectation or need. And if a need is a need, they're called needs for a reason. We need them. We don't want them, we need them. And like we need air, which is a physical need for survival, our brain also thinks we have emotional and mental needs for survival, which are as important as oxygen to that part of the brain. So the limbic system says emotional needs, and neocortex says intellectual needs. And again, it's the intellectual air and emotional air that we need to survive. So if we're not getting the need of recognition or love or that more traditional family, which equates to a certain value for you, which is, your version of love and safety or survival, then we go into a survival response. And typically, if you're more of a nice guy, that's your way of relating, you fawn. Yep. So it's like, okay, if I just give her more of what she wants, if I sacrifice this bit of me, we'll be happy. And then when she's not happy, we give up more and more and more. Eventually, it's like holding your breath all this time. You have to take a breath in and you go, fuck it, I deserve this, and we lash out and attack and abuse, like verbally, emotionally, and it's just an aggression that fucking comes out of nowhere.
You lose yourself in the process.
And then sometimes women are innocent in and not, like, they're complacent, they don't know what's going on, but other times they see it clear as day. But then they turn around and weaponize your outburst and go, you're wrong for doing this. You're aggressive and violent. Look what you just did. And it's like, hold on, I told you I needed this so many times, and I fucking begged you for it even, and I just needed some basic respect, which you weren't being respectful. And now I've lost it at you for being disrespectful towards me. You're going to say I'm wrong? Like, do you not see any role in this? You're gaslighting me, you're telling it's me, you're trying to deny it. No, I'm accepting what I did. But I'm just seeing, like, do you see your role in it too? Or is it all me? It's all you. At that point, I've been there. Fucking walk away. It's going to kill you emotionally. You'll feel like you're dying, and emotionally a part of you is. But women like that, you can't be around them, because you'll become a man that you're not.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then on the other end, when you do open up and, for example, you cry, and then you get called a pussy for doing that.
Any woman that does that, it's the equivalent to a man physically grabbing you and frightening you, taking away safety. Respect for a man is what safety is to a woman. No ifs, ands, or buts. Like it or not. You disrespect a man like that, it fucking kills him from the inside. And most of us men are told to take it and tolerate it and think it's okay, but it's not. Women that think that's okay to do and have done it really need to be, I don't want to say should be ashamed of themselves, because they should let that go and move beyond it, but should at least recognize and be ashamed for it and then learn and move on and be better than it. It's not okay. Just like it's not okay for a man to be physically violent towards a woman, to be emotionally abusive and like that towards a man. To think of it like this, if another man is disrespectful to you to that degree, what do you immediately want to do?
Fucking knock him out.
Yeah. Is that appropriate to do that to a woman? No. Do we want to do that? No. Does our body respond that way and feel that level of hurt and pain and whatever else, anger? Yeah. And what have we got to do? Hold on to it. So then it's trapped within us, and then it bottles up, and then it happens again and again. And then one day we have an outburst. Fuck you. And what does it turn into? You're the problem.
Yep.
It's a vicious cycle that men need to recognize and run the other way when they've got a woman like that. Because I've been there. I've done it to myself, and I help men get out of that and also prevent it from ever happening. It's a very dangerous place where you become much more animalistic, because when your needs aren't being met, if you're put in a corner, or better yet, if you're held underwater and you can't breathe, what are you going to do to be able to breathe and survive?
Anything and everything.
Your brain, and again, you aren't your behaviors. This isn't to give anyone an excuse, but in the same light, what's also true, as true as that is, what's also true is we revert back to more primal animalistic behaviors when we have needs not being met. And to come full circle, the physical need of oxygen or food, we become animalistic when we need to get it. If we're starving, it's 10 days and our kids haven't got food. I don't care what you say. Any man will do what they need to feed their family and themselves. Emotionally and mentally, our brain puts as much priority on emotional and mental needs as it does physical. The physical comes first, but when that's taken care of, we then need these emotional and mental needs met. We can meet them in a million different ways, but if we attach to somebody as an attachment figure, we become biologically interdependent on them, and then they're withdrawing and pulling back love and then attacking us on top of it and blaming us, and needs aren't being met. It all compounds to make this mess where it's not right what happens, but you can empathize with what happens.
Yeah.
And if you can foresee it as a man and just trust that this is a pattern, it's a human behavior, which if left unchecked unfolds, you can do something about it in advance to stop. We're all capable of it. We're all capable of murdering someone. We're all capable of loving and saving someone's life. We have the full spectrum of human behavior, and we know what we're truly capable of. We can prevent ourselves from ever getting there and protect ourselves. And we do that by coming full circle to what you talked about, which is covert contracts and unspoken expectations. We take care of them and just get uncomfortable talking and saying what we need and being willing to walk away if we don't match. We save a lot of issues. And it's important to know that's the better option, because regardless, there's discomfort. We can have the discomfort of talking about what we need to and putting forward our expectations and our true desires and be willing to be judged for it, and then find out we can connect and bond and relate. Or we can have the much worse, more compounded discomfort and hurt and pain of not speaking about what we want and being forward and honest and deal with the repercussions later, not on our terms. Very different world. Both worlds contain pain and change, but one's on your terms and is now, and the other one's on life's terms and way, way worse.
Yeah. I'd rather be in control.
Yeah.
I think most men would.
Yeah. Control's healthy. Women want control. Women want a man who's in control, because control means safety and certainty, and that's what safety is built upon. If you can control the environment you're in, you can provide a higher level of safety, which only means a greater level of love for them, because love is a byproduct of certain needs being met, one of them being safety.
And at the end of the day, as humans, I think all we desire is love. When you get to the end of everything, it's love.
Yeah, 100%.
And it's beautiful and it's painful, but the thing is, pain and love go hand in hand.
Yeah.
They really do.
Yeah.
If I could give you a button right now to get rid of all the pain, that would also get rid of all the memories of all the love that you had within your life, because the only reason the pain comes up is because you're thinking about the person or something that you loved at some point.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And pain often we wouldn't want to get rid of, as you said, when we look back on it and see what it turned us into. And a lot of the time, pain is a byproduct of our perception of what happened, not actually what happened. I think it's Dr. Gabor Mate. He's a trauma therapist. He says trauma isn't what happens to us, it's how we perceive what happened to us a lot of the time. I largely agree true, but there's also other things that are true as well. And yeah, pain is one of the constants in life. Everyone says there's very few things you can bank on. One of them is taxes.
Yep.
I say there's two constants, there's many, but two of the main ones are pain and change. Yes. You're always going to have change, and you're always going to have pain, and both are synonymous with growth and becoming better, which we're wired to want and to do. So you can't have growth and better quality without those two present. And so you're dead right in saying if you get rid of pain, you get rid of the good as well.
Definitely. Now, one of the topics that you wanted to dive into, which is some women may not like it, but how women don't understand how to treat a man and give them what they need in order to devote and commit back to them. We kind of spoke about the devotion, the commitment, and how as men that's what we desire.
Yeah.
How do we get women to understand this? Like in this world and age of social media, and yeah, it's a tough one. And I feel like there's a big battle at the moment between the masculine and the feminine, and it's not healthy for anyone.
No. It's interesting, like looking at it now when we're talking about like what else do we want to discuss. That was a big thing, and we've kind of addressed it. I think, in short, a lot of women suffer in relationships and point the finger at the man, and as much as it is, the man, it's equally the women as well. And it's just people with the wrong ideas and concepts and not knowing and understanding how nature works. There's an order to everything. Women are naturally more feminine, men are naturally more masculine. When we embrace those differences and qualities to complement one another, things are better. They work. I think one of the biggest issues I see is women's inability to celebrate the strength and quality of their man. I think too many women try to take him off the pedestal that he rightfully deserves to be on and should be on to have a better view of things and protect her and provide her what she wants and needs, and feel unsafe trusting a man's leadership. Like they're attracted to a man that leads. All the qualities that a woman wants, or most women want in men, is like they're bigger, taller, stronger, wealthier, richer, more fame, more power, more status. Like women want to date up. They want a man that has more and it's got more coming in his future, right? Whereas you and I, and just about all men, don't really give a shit about her future. We care about her past. Who has she been? What has she got going for her? And if we're on a mission and are gonna crush it and have all the money and everything taken care of, we just want a confident, happy, joyful, life-giving woman. We don't need her to be a lawyer that's going to progress to, a stakeholder in the company or a partner. We just need a woman that's willing to love us and devote to us and be ours. So there's like very different necessities. And if we realize like, what does that come from? Well, they want protection. They want a man that's going to lead. They don't want a guy that's just going to, relax and do the bare minimum. Whereas, what do we want of our partner? Not much other than to help nurture the back end. If they want it, like we want them to want it. We're not telling a woman you have to do this. It's like, no, I want to find a woman that wants to do this. And when she does, do we need much more than that? Not really. Whereas women get caught up in thinking they've got to be in control and they can't depend on a man because of what society fucking perpetuates. And it's this big, wrong, shitty message of don't depend on men. You can't trust men. Keep your options open. There's everything telling them not to fully commit when that's the very thing that they need to do. They need to fully fucking commit, as does the guy. But again, the way they show their commitment is a bit different. So once they commit to the man, they will typically unlock something within him that wants to protect and nurture her and make her his. And I couldn't think of any deeper and more of a loving relationship than that. Like, what woman doesn't want a man to say, "You are mine," proudly, and just pick her up and sweep her off the feet and, walk into the sunset with her? But to do that, you've got to be willing to be picked up and to be his and to want that. Whereas fucking, 70, 80, 90% of women are hesitant to do that. and give him that level of authority and control and power over her.
Yeah. And me being a father to a girl as well, it's interesting territory for me to navigate because I see the traditional roles, and I guess that's what I desire in a partner as well. But you mentioned there around women, um, being dependent on men and fully, I guess, stepping into their feminine and letting go. But also, a part of me disagrees with that because I wouldn't want my daughter to be fully dependent. And if she wanted to go and create something for herself, she can do that. So I guess there's that fine balance of, yes, devote yourself to a man, but fucking get after her as well if you want to.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's an important distinction there. Devote doesn't mean literally like, here's my money, here's my...
You're not a slave.
No, absolutely not. If anything, it's the opposite. Like, it gives you freedom because you know where you stand, you know what's right and wrong, you know what works. Like, you can be a loving, loyal, devoted woman who has a career, but also prioritizes the family. And then, when you both want kids, that becomes your predominant thing. And if you want to go to the career after a while, find out what works for you and him. Like, is it more important to be a mother to the kids and raise them to the best of your ability, and he brings the income in, but you obviously have a certain amount set aside for you because you're both dependent on the one income? Like, yeah, I think that's more than... It's not even fair. It's just what's right.
I think it comes down to the way I wanted to build and create my relationship was I wanted to provide for my family, but I wanted to provide to the point where, like, my wife is not just a stay-at-home mom. I want to be able to give her the freedom to go out and pursue her passions and create something that she wanted. And I did that. You
didn't have the right woman to
the woman
appreciate.
didn't have the passion or drive to do that.
Yeah.
And yeah, she said wasn't supportive of that.
Yeah.
So now that vision's still there, and I'm still going to create that for the next woman. So she's going to be a very lucky woman. She's out there listening.
Yeah.
But as a man, that's what I want. I want to provide and give my woman the opportunity to do what she wants, not have to work a job because she has to.
Exactly. Yeah. If she wants to work, go ahead. As long as my needs still get met by you and we're like compatible and we reciprocally, as long as we're still healthily bouncing off one another and contributing to each other's needs and getting what we want out of each other, go work. Like, he might be working too much for her, which is something he's got to then look at and deal with, right? It's all a trade-off. Like, what's right, what's wrong, what's working, what isn't. And I'm the same as you. Like, I want my partner to not have to work, ideally, eventually, especially when there's a family in the picture. If she doesn't want to work, I want to be well and truly positioned well enough so she never has to work a day again in her life. If she wants to be a stay-at-home mom, which I'd much prefer her be, then she can do that. And if she wants a passion or a hobby, like, I'm at home, I have this spare time, I want to put my energy into something, awesome. What do you want? Do you want to buy a cafe that loses $10,000 a month and is going backwards but is going to keep you happy? Cool, I can fund that. Let's do it. Let's give you a passion. Do you want to build Nikrami or whatever it is online and sell it? Please do. Let me help you do that. Or if you want to do it on your own, you've got it, because you've got a cushion behind you that is me, that I've created. It's not to have the woman dependent on him, but it's to have her to be able to healthily know that she can depend on him. And I would not arrogantly say, but I guess, you tell me if I'm right or wrong, you want your man, the son-in-law in the future, to be able to look after your woman, have the resources and time and energy available for her to be able to just be a mum if that's what she wants.
100%.
But if she goes, no, I have a passion I want to pursue, which is, building an orphanage or whatever, he's like, yeah, cool, do it. Hey, I need this time from you. And he's able to directly and very adamantly say to your daughter, like, this is what I expect. Oh, I need this from you. Can you do that? And she goes, okay. You're so much happier knowing you got a man who's going to speak up and tell her his needs to continue to love her in the way that he wants. He needs to, as opposed to a nice guy who's going to say yes to everything she wants, but you know how he's going to end up being and speaking to her down the track.
Yeah.
He's self-sacrificing and degrading himself by not also sharing his needs.
It comes down to that alignment.
Yeah.
Both knowing what they need, what they want out of life, and if they're compatible and it all aligns, well, that's when you become a true team and you can build something together.
100%.
Instead of one person building, one person not, or one person in a fucking totally different world
Yeah.
wanting to build something else.
Yeah.
It's not going to work.
Can she fuel his ambition and drive that then she benefits from as well? Awesome, that's a great relationship. Can she work too and then still give him and meet his needs, give to him and meet his needs when he gets home? Yeah, but can he also meet hers?
Yeah.
Yes. Typically, I find most women, when their needs, their core needs are met, they typically mold to the man to some larger degree. When men mold to the women, it doesn't, I've never ever actually seen it work out when the men mold to the woman.
It doesn't.
Yeah, so the woman is naturally, by her nature, the more feminine energy, will mold to him. But it's just, is it healthy? Is it life-giving, not life-taking? And is it supportive of him and him of her? Like, is his lifestyle, as she adapts to it, is that also going to lift her up still? If so, that's what I mean by, like, there's a form of control that he gets. It's an uncomfortable way to put it, but it's like, does he respect her, and is he aware of the control and influence he now has over her? It's the way it is. Like, when I have a daughter, I absolutely want a man that's going to say, yeah, I'll die for her, and these are my expectations and needs of her, and she can easily meet them. I'm devoted and committed to that woman as a result. Like, my life is better because of her, and it only makes, I know in that man, he'll only want to give her more as a result of it. So it's a really beautiful thing when you look at it through the lens of reciprocity instead of give and take.
Yeah.
Similar, but also worlds apart if you think about it.
Yeah, it's interesting, the conversation.
We need more conversations about it. We need more of a generalized, and that's the thing, us as men, how trusting are you of men in general to show up like this for your daughter?
There's not many men like us out there.
Yeah. You'll spot it very quick and early on. I think this is a lot of the reason why a lot of fathers have issues with when their, daughters start dating boys, because they know what they're like.
Yeah.
They know where they can end up if needs aren't met. They know what they're typically going to do.
And I think the thing for me is, like, that's why I have to lead by example of what it is to be a man, because then my daughter will only be attracted to high value men like myself, and she will know her worth and not accept anything lower.
Exactly. She's going to model her future boyfriend after you. So the better you are, the better her partner, better off she'll be, for sure. Big responsibility to have when you start talking about it. Hey,
it is, but
a beautiful one.
It is beautiful, and I think it's one of the biggest achievements you can have as a father is raising the next generation.
Yeah. Yeah. And ending the shit that we took on from and inherited, which helped us to get where we are, but ending it so that we can only pass on, I guess, the good. Bad will always come, but it's degrees better than what we inherited.
There was one more thing before we wrap up around what do men need to do to attract the right woman into their life? We spoke about healing. Healing's a big part of that process, obviously, and which will allow you to show up as a better version of yourself.
Absolutely.
Though, is there anything else that will help men out there in attracting that right woman?
Not chasing her.
Yeah, a lot of men chase, don't they?
Life's got a funny way of bringing what you want to you when you're ready for it. As woo-woo as that sounds, the very fabric and reality of it is, if you are a man that is congruent and has all four versions of yourself, all four lives in alignment, you will put out a very obvious, consistent, powerful message that will attract a woman that is also in alignment with that projection that you put out. And what I mean by the four lives is we've got four. We've got our public life, is which what everyone sees of someone. It's typically what a woman will fall in love with or be attracted to. And we've got our private life, secret life, and community life. Typically, if we see a partner and we start hanging around them, we see more of their community life, which can sometimes be very different, particularly with men. We might become more animated. We might become more of a, less considerate and more egotistical, because when we are surrounded, the thing about the community life is it reveals who we would really be without consequences, or when we have absolute power, how would we be? Because the public life is who we are based on external circumstances and pressures and expectations and requirements of us, right? And laws. There's many reasons why we are the way we are publicly. But who would you be if you were a multi-millionaire and you were surrounded by people who all believed exactly what you believe and support what you believe, and there's no consequences for your actions. Put 10 men together at a footy game and look how animated and motivated they get to support and cheer their team on. And because they all have each other's back, they might be less tolerable of other things. So a partner, if they see that and that you're less kind in your community or in your group or in your circle, you go, oh, this is another side of them. And if that's incongruent with what they thought or who they believed you to be, that creates a gap for them. It lowers their trust, safety in you, and that causes them to show a different view. Thus is the negative spiral there straight off the bat in a relationship. But if your secret life, you contain shit behind closed doors, or if you were a different person behind closed doors than what you are publicly as what she originally perceived you to be, it's another big issue. You might look, healthy and motivated on the outside, and you want to, you have a little bit of weight you want to lose or muscle you want to gain, and you publicly talk about it. I want that. Yeah. But then she sees you sitting on your ass, eating pizza, not going to the gym as often as you should, often too tired. She sees you saying one thing and doing another thing. So there's even more incongruence. Then there's the secret life, which is typically the stuff we're ashamed of or guilty about, and we hide even from ourselves. So throwing an addiction or some sort of a crutch in there, she'll inevitably see that. So this person that she fell in love with and was really attracted to now has all these different versions that she sees that doesn't align with this. So how much can she really trust you now? How much of a man of your word are you really? And God, I could open up a list of things there. But what happens is if you have these different full versions of yourself, you're going to attract a woman that is also going to, one, be attracted to one side of you and then lose attraction to you when she sees more of you, and that creates problems. You're going to attract a very different woman as well, because it's very woo-woo, but who we truly are is who we truly attract as well. So to attract the woman that you want in a simple sense is stop saying one thing and doing another. Become congruent within yourself. Heal if you have to. If you say you're going to do something, do it. Get in the habit of doing that through time and intensity. That'll become who you are. You'll become congruent with that. If you have vices, deal with them. Or if you have them and you're happy to have them, make it publicly known. Don't hide it. Don't be ashamed of it. Own it. When you do that, you become congruent. And when someone falls in love with you, they can fall in love with all of you and all of who you are. And there won't be this separation over time. There'll be, if anything, a convergence. You'll come closer because she sees more and more of you, and it's who she expected you to be. So really becoming a congruent, consistent, confident person in who they are. Doesn't mean you have to heal everything, but it just means you got to own it. I am this way. I'm not going to hide it. And when the world really gets to see you for who you are, a woman will spot you and go, I'm attracted to that. All of him. I see that. I see his imperfections. I see his perfections. And that'll save you heartache. It'll allow you to select a woman properly based on compatibility, not off a limited version of you that you choose to show her, which only makes things worse, or she gets worse and worse versions of you over time. Hope that makes sense.
It does. What stood out for me is when you boil it all down is authenticity and integrity.
Yeah.
They're the two key things.
That's a very simple way of putting it. Yeah. And it's fucking accurate as well. If you can be honest about who you are, she can honestly love you. Whereas if you're dishonest and give her different versions of you, how can she authentically love who you are? She doesn't even know who you are. What else don't I know about him? What else is going to surprise me? Is he going to actually change his mind again? He said he's going to do something. Can I trust that he'll do that? How can you expect a woman to love you if you don't even love yourself enough to do what you say you're going to do, or to publicly show it? If you're hiding it, there's shame there, there's guilt there. She sees that, and again, who you are is what you'll get back. And she may not be that way, but you'll recreate that circumstance in her or from her or as a result of her. She'll just become a tool in your healing if you go into a relationship incongruent.
Yeah. Man, we could keep going. Is there anything else you want to touch on before we end round 2 on the podcast?
No, I feel like we had a really good talk earlier. We probably should have turned the cameras on.
We should have.
But I know it's been great as always. You have questions that I don't get asked anywhere else, and it gets me thinking. we get to share more of this message that we both believe is very important to get out there for men and women. And I thank you for what you're doing. Keep doing it.
Appreciate it. And for the people that potentially want to do some work with yourself, where's the best place to find you?
Clayton Harrop on Instagram or Facebook, and YouTube channels there. It's nothing on it yet, but there will be soon. So they just look me up on social media, Instagram preferably. They'll be able to get hold of me there.
And when is the book coming out? He gave me a draft edit of was half of it's complete, or
It was probably about 2/3 of it.
Then, 2/3 of it, and that really helped me, especially with the communication piece around women. So
how to speak to a woman.
Yeah, how to speak to a woman. Yeah, that was really eye opening for me. So when is that expected to come out? I know it's a big task.
I'll commit on video end of July.
Okay.
Yeah, I was hoping to have it sooner, but it originally didn't start out as a book. I had no intention of setting out to be an author. I was making originally a free or a low ticket product, 15, 20 pages men could read to help save their relationship, and then that evolved into 40 pages, and then 80, and then it hit 100. And when it hit 100, I went, at what point is this a fucking book? Like, I don't, like, here's a PDF program that's 100 pages. It's a book. And now it's 170 pages. I think it'll be around 200 by the time I'm done. So yeah, it'll be a book, but it's, as you've read, it's not like shallow. It goes deep, and the idea is that you walk away understanding women and how they think and feel, and how to communicate with them in a way that you never have to hear the fucking most famous and common line women say to men, which is, "You don't understand me or hear me." And like I would imagine you can attest to that after reading the communication model on how to speak and meet their bids, like you won't hear that if you do it properly.
I wish I had this book about 6 to 12 months ago. It would have helped a lot. Now reading it and going through, I'm like, this would have helped, because I did cop those comments all the time. You don't understand me. I don't feel heard.
And one complaint.
I thought I was hearing.
Yeah, because you could repeat word for word what she said. You got it. You understood the problem, right? But as you know now, it's their emotional, mental, and physical section of the brain. There's a certain way to make them feel heard, and that's why the book title is called Understand Her. It's how to understand her and speak the language that she needs in order to feel seen and heard and understood. And that's exactly what I hope and intend for it to do for men that read it.
So give this man a follow. Stay tuned for that book to come out. Now, this episode is sponsored by Savvy. Now we've got to give a cheeky little plug, brother. How did you find the taste of this?
Truthfully, no bullshit. It's actually delicious. It was really, really good. It's not too strong. It's not too weak. It's just a nice, subtle, passion fruit flavor. Is what I got. It's nice.
Did you feel any,
I didn't get the
stimulation?
Jitters. No, like
it's not meant to give you jitters.
Yeah, it's like steady kind of energy, and it's like it's a bit chilly in here actually. And normally when I'm chilly, I can't think properly or like whatever. But I've felt like, given I've just had 2 weeks of training, not much sleep, a lot of work, I've thought a lot clearer. I don't know if I can put it down to this, but it definitely helped in some way because I feel calm.
Yeah,
but focused and energetic.
Because it has the caffeine, but what's mixed with it is the L-theanine. So it gives you the boost without the jitters.
Yeah, no jitters whatsoever.
That's why I love this shit, bro.
It's good. Yeah, and it's a clean energy drink. Like, I'm a big stickler on ingredients, and overall, the ones that I can understand on here they're all pretty understandable, really. It's pretty clean.
It's all natural, bro.
Clean's important to me, and the fact that it's all natural, clean, and that it was a nice, clean energy source. I didn't have a spike up and down. That says a lot. I'm not a big fan of energy drinks, but if I was going to have any, I'd give this a tick. I'd go to this for sure.
Well, for all the listeners out there, Savvy Beverages, use the discount code BETTERMEDIA, and I think you get about 15-20% off.
Amazing.
Bro, thank you so much. This has been an awesome conversation as always. It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
There's more to come for sure.
More to come.